We are glad to welcome you to our channel. Kindly subscribe to our channel and share our videos with your friends and relations. And click on the bell icon for instant notification whenever new videos are uploaded on this channel. Rest assured that we are going to have a very exciting and inspiring discussion. Let's dive into the lesson right away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's video is a special one because it is a response to a comment from one of our esteemed subscribers, Vivian Ifeyinwa. Vivian, thank you for your kind words, and I am thrilled to address your question on Jamb Comprehension questions. This is English Classes Online, and I am your host, Benjamin. All right, before we dive into the best tips for Jamb Comprehension questions, let's read Vivian's questions, Vivian's comment from the comment section. And here, Vivian wrote as follows. Thank you, sir. It was a good video. Please, can you explain how you got the answer with number 3? So, as you can see, Vivian wants to know how I got the answer to question number 3. So I am going to explain the steps you need to take in order to pick the correct answer to a Jamb comprehension questions. To illustrate this, we are going to use an example from question number 3 as requested by Vivian. Okay. Having said that, let's now take a look at the steps to take. There are several reading techniques you can adopt for answering comprehension questions. However, different comprehension passages require different approaches. The approach you use for WAEC and NECO comprehension passages may not work for Jamb passages. 1. Jamb passages are short but somehow more sophisticated. 2. Jamb questions provide options but very tricky as well. Now, the steps to take are as follows. 1. Read through the questions first. This will give you prior information about what you are going to look for in the passage. 2. Read the passage. You must read the passage with concentration, read for meaning, read with a purpose, and read for discovery. 3. Read the questions again. This time, you are ready to answer the questions one by one. Step 4. Scan for the evidence in the passage before picking the option for each question. So these are the steps that you need to take, okay? And so we proceed to explaining how to answer question number 3. Okay, now let's apply the steps we have learned to question number 3 that Vivian has asked about. Now, question number 3 is as follows. How does the author try to explain this destructive stage? Then the options given are as follows. Option A, it is the last stage in child development. B, the child wants to displease his parents. C, it grows out of the child's recent experience of sudden falls. D, the child is just going through a destructive stage. Now, to pick the correct answer to this question, you need to take the steps we earlier discussed. Remember, step number 1, read through the questions first. All right. Step number 2, read the passage. Step number 3, read the questions again. And then step number 4, scan for evidence in the passage before picking the option for each question. Now, don't forget that step number 4 is crucial to picking the accurate option. Scan for the evidence in the passage before picking the option for each question. Now, one of the questions you might ask is, how do you scan for evidence? Now, you scan for evidence by using the keywords in the question as context clues for identifying the answers in the passage. Now, what are the keywords in the question? The keywords, if you look at question number 3, as you can see here, how does the author explain? How does the author explain this destructive stage? The keywords are explain this destructive stage. Those are the keywords. So first, go through the options A, B, C, D in the question, and then go back to the passage and figure out the answer by using these context clues. So we are going to, put this in practice. Let's start with the steps. Step number 1, read the questions first. And so the following are the questions. Question number 1, according to this passage, it gives the little child great pleasure. A, for daddy to see the tower he has built. B, to destroy the tower himself. C, to see his tower accidentally destroyed. D, to be helped to destroy the tower. Now, as you read the questions first, you already have a lot of information about what the passage is about before even reading it. So you are equipped with what the passage is before reading it, and this makes it quite easier for you. Question 2, what other feeling does the child derive from the fall of his tower apart from pleasure? A, strength. B, anxiety. C, pity. D, depression. Step number 3, how does the author try to explain this destructive stage? And this is question number 3 that Vivian asked me to explain how, I arrived at the answer. If you want to know, have a comprehensive, explanation, you need to go back to the video. uh, you will find it on the description description section. You will find a link to the full video that gives answers to all these questions. Now, Vivian watched that video and needed more clarification, about question number 3, and that is exactly what uh, we are doing in this video. So, question number 3, how does the author try to explain this destructive stage? Option A, it is the last stage in child development. B, the child wants to displease his parents. C, it grows out of the child's recent experience of sudden falls. D, the child is just going through a destructive stage. So when you read the question first, you already uh, you register the question and the options in your memory as you read the passage. We are going to look at how you do that. Question number 4, the expression must kick it and make it collapse in this context means A, is forced to kick it and demolish it. B, is obliged to kick it and make it collapse. C, cannot resist the urge to demolish it. D, ought to kick it and make it collapse. Question number 5, in the passage, manic pleasure means A, wicked pleasure. B, childish pleasure. C, unlimited pleasure. And D, human pleasure. Now, as you can see, we have read the questions first. So let's go to step number 2, read the passage. So let's now read the passage. Of course, the instruction here is read each passage carefully and answer the questions that follow. And the passage is as follows. In order to approach the problem of anxiety in play, let us consider the activity of building and destroying a tower. Many a mother thinks that her little son is in a destructive stage or even has a destructive personality because after building a big tower, the boy cannot follow her advice to leave the tower for daddy to see, but instead must kick it and make it collapse. The almost manic pleasure with which children watch the collapse in a second of the product of long play labor has puzzled many, especially since the child does not appreciate it at all if the tower falls by accident or by a helpful uncle's hand. He, the builder, must destroy it himself. This game, I should think, arises from the not so distant experience of sudden falls at the very time when standing upright on wobbly legs afforded a new and fascinating perspective on existence. The child who consequently learns to make a tower stand up enjoys causing the same tower to waver and collapse. In addition to the active mastery over a previously passive event, it makes one feel stronger to know that there is somebody weaker that is towards, unlike little sister, that somebody weaker can't cry and call mommy. Okay, so that is exactly what we find here. So while reading the passage, you come across some of the things you saw in the questions. Okay. And at this stage, you are beginning already to identify answers to the questions you earlier read. So that increases the speed of your reading and it makes the entire process quite simpler and clearer. This brings us to step number 3, read the questions again. Now, so let's begin with step 3, read the questions again. At this stage, you have to pick the keywords in the question and use them as context clues for identifying the answer in the passage. Now, the question is, what are the keywords in the question? The keywords, as I earlier mentioned, are how does the author try to explain this destructive stage? Explain this destructive stage. These are the keywords you have to use as context clues. But first, remember, you need to go through the options A, B, C, D in the question, and then go back to the passage and figure out the answer by using these context clues. Now let's attempt to do this. You know, we can see question 1 here, but we are concerned with question 3. When I'm beginning to look at question 3, we want to look at it specifically because that is Vivian's question. So look at question number 3. How does the author try to explain the destructive stage? So the underlying keywords here are explain this destructive stage. And then let's go through the options A, B, C, D. A, it is the last stage in child development. You see, having read the passage, we already have some idea about the likely question. So here we begin to use the elimination method to eliminate any option that doesn't make sense to us in line with what we have seen in the passage. So option A doesn't make any sense. It is the last stage in child development. We were not told this in the passage. B, the child wants to displease his parents. Again, this is quite irrelevant. It doesn't make sense because we are not told that that's the aim of the child in making the tower collapse. See, it grows out of the child's recent experience of sudden falls. This is what corresponds to the information we have seen in the passage. And so we take note of C as the possible answer, but we are not going to confirm that this is the answer until we go back to the passage and we scan for the evidence. And once we are convinced that there is evidence to confirm this option, then we present it as the answer, and that is the most accurate way to identify the correct answer to Jamb comprehension questions. Then option D, the child is just going through a destructive stage, you know, and this is not what the passage is saying. Then question number 4, question number 5, we are now specifically dealing with question 3 in response to Vivian's comments. Now let's move on to step 4, and this is scan for evidence in the passage before picking the option for each question. And so here we are going back to read the passage again, and then we scan for the evidence. So when you look at the passage here, you can see uh, that using step 4, by the way, step 4 is crucial to picking the accurate option. And this step 4 is scanning for evidence in the passage before picking the option for the question. Now, how do you scan for evidence? As I earlier mentioned, you need to use the keywords in the question as context clues for identifying the answers in the passage. Now, what are the keywords in the passage? As we earlier mentioned, the question is, how does the author try to explain this destructive stage? So we have taken note of explain this destructive stage, that these are the keywords in the question. So, and then we have also gone through the various options, and we identified option C as the possible answer. Now, what do we do? As we go through the passage again, look at the portion that appears in blue here. Okay, many a mother thinks that her little son is in a destructive stage or even has a destructive personality because after building a big tower, the boy cannot follow her advice to leave the tower for daddy to see, but instead must kick it and make it collapse. You see, the key words destructive stage here gives us the clue that we are now we have got to the stage where the author is trying to explain this destructive stage. So as we go further, we read further, then the almost manic pleasure with which children watch the collapse in a second of the product of long play labor has puzzled many, especially since the child does not appreciate it at all if this tower falls by accident or by a helpful uncle's hand. You see, this has not given us the author's explanation, as to why this destructive stage, this kind of experience is noticeable in children. He, the builder, must destroy it himself. Now, the portion in green shows us exactly the evidence. You can see here, this game, I should think, arises from the not so distant experience of sudden falls at the very time when standing upright on wobbly legs afforded a new and fascinating perspective on experience. So you can see the underlined words arises from the not so distant experience of sudden falls. And you remember that option C, which we actually perceived to be the correct option, is the option that gives us exactly this particular evidence. So this, what we see in the passage here, is the evidence to confirm that option C is the answer. Okay, so and that is exactly the way to go. So now is the time to confirm the answer with evidence from the passage. Remember that we picked the keywords from the question, explained this disruptive stage, then we use these keywords as context clues to scan for evidence in the passage. So here in the passage, we saw the evidence. This game, I should think, arises from the not so distant experience of sudden falls at the very time when standing upright on wobbly legs. Okay, uh, when standing upright on wobbly legs afforded a new and fascinating perspective on existence. So this is the evidence from the passage which confirms to us that option C is the correct answer. The answer is it grows out of the child's recent experience of sudden falls. All right, so that is exactly how to pick the correct answer, and that wraps up our lesson on Jamb comprehension questions. So Vivian, I hope this video clarifies your question. To all our viewers, keep those questions coming. Learning is a journey, and we're here to navigate it together. Until next time, happy learning. Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important. If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you in the new video.